There are few people who can say that they have first-hand experience of spilling milk and not crying over it. Luckily for you, one of them is me, or more specifically, 8-year-old me. No, I didn't shed a single tear when I dropped an entire carton of milk at Costco and silently watched it explode. Instead, I ran far away from the crime scene and pretended like nothing happened. Spilling figurative milk, on the other hand, not so much. The common idiom, "don't cry over spilled milk," represents the universal experience of regret and tells us not to dwell on them. Yet this is easier said than done because I'm constantly being reminded of one of my biggest regrets. Being surrounded by many people who effortlessly switch from English to Thai, I envy their bilingualism and I regret that I don't have this amazing ability. How many of us have felt this heavy feeling of regret? And how many of us know how to deal with it? Hi, I'm Xianna, and I'm here to guide you from how regret affects us now to how it can benefit us in the future. Today, I'll be talking about my linguistic regret as an analogy for whatever kinds of regrets that you want to imagine. Growing up in Australia, my mom was my only link to Thai culture. So the indifference I felt to proficiently learning Thai then has been greatly paying now. Recently, I had to order 50 fried chicken from this local shop. But since I just knew that my far from fluent Thai would be met with alaina, which means what, or the frustrating pudik ti dai mai, which translates to, can you say it again, I had to rely on my friend for help. And as you might guess, I felt pretty much useless. A news article written by a neurobehavioral scientist at the University of Virginia claims that regret is a disappointing reaction to a choice that you made that can't be changed. But it's a complicated emotion because it's also connected to others, such as remorse, longing, and helplessness. I felt guilty that I didn't take advantage of having a Thai-speaking parent. However, inactions and missed opportunities like these are the most common regret. Isn't it weird to think that the things we didn't do are causing more harm in our lives than the things we did? This is because as humans, we love to rationalize, especially unfortunate events. But in inaction, it becomes harder to do so for events that never even happened. Published in the Journal of Narrative Theory, Gherkin stated that regret and dreaming function on the same level of desire, and they're both often an expression of wish fulfillment. You see, there's a tendency with regret to see the path you didn't take as inevitably better than the path you did. The consequences of regret are not just miserable, they are unhealthy. Regret increases stress that many perceive to be insoluble. It also leads to poor self-esteem, which ultimately undermines our decision-making and blinds us from better opportunities. According to researcher Dr. Carson Ross from Concordia University, the emotional distress of regrets can trigger biological dysregulation in the hormone and immune systems, which make people more vulnerable to develop clinical health issues. So regret diminishes our mental health, diminishes our emotional health, and stops at nothing to diminish our physical health. At the start of my speech, I told you guys I'd open our minds to how regret can benefit us. But does anyone think that it's more of a loss? A loss that keeps us stuck in the past while instilling the brutal truth that clocks can only move clockwise? Yet if we cry over spilled milk for too long, we will wake up with swollen eyes. So the solution that I can offer is something, in fact, each and every one of you possess: self-command. The key to embracing regret is changing your beliefs on how it can affect you. Here are 3 ways I achieved this, but again, I'll be referring to my personal regret of language, so think for yourself. What are your own regrets? Okay, so first, self-forgiveness. For me, this means forgiving myself that I wouldn't have known how helpful Thai would become. I know forgiveness isn't easy because it comes with acceptance, especially of the imperfect choices that make us human. But it will allow us to move on, and we will realize that certain opportunities can present themselves again. 2, self-comparisons. Stop comparing yourself to other people's abilities and start comparing yourself to where you're at now and your own goals, because not only will you value the learning opportunities, but it will also prompt you to keep moving forward. 3, make regret productive. You must view it as an opportunity to do things differently next time, rather than a signal to stop altogether. Harvard Business Review advised that to embrace change, we must identify what we truly value and act upon it in the future. So what are the principles that you want to live by? In my case, connection and versatility. Turn that wish into reality. If we continue dwelling in our regrets, we will waste time going in a loop of self-pity and then going absolutely nowhere. But to change our perception of it means to change the likelihood of second chances, sagacity, and self-motivation. Our future isn't defined by the milk that we spill, but by the tears we wipe away. I'm privileged to have friends and family who are able to speak Thai and have access to education that can teach me to become bilingual. So the next time you see me needing to order 50 fried chicken, you bet that I'll be communicating independently. Thank you.